mandate's still in place.
But you got to do it wearing a mask, right? So
social distancing
out the window,
except for in schools.
Right, correct. So there you go, guys. It's on you. You know what I mean? The people of Guam, we got each other this far, so just use your judgment. There is that Delta variant. There seems to be some real uncertainty about how safe we are as vaccinated individuals. So, like Jason said this morning, he's like, "Oh, I'm still wearing my mask. I'm not going to go anywhere," because they just waffled so much on whether or not vaccinated people can even get it, catch it, pass it. So you can get it, you can die of it, you can be hospitalized, and if you have it, you can give it to other people if you're vaccinated. Okay? It's 7 o'clock. We're KUAM FM, Agotni, Guam, The Breeze. So there's a back and forth with the Republican Party of Guam and the Democratic Party of Guam, and it's relative to this whole issue with the American Rescue Plan and the RISE Act, but the last release from the Republicans, a little more pointed than the ones they had put out in the past. We did verify it was a real Republican Party of Guam release. Bree, you have that one?
I do.
Okay, let's go.
All right, so this is the press release. We're going to read this one first. Right? It has been more than 7 months since the RISE Act lapsed into law, and since then, all we've heard from Governor Leon Guerrero's administration are hundreds of excuses on why recipients are not seeing their benefit checks. Some days she claims she's the almighty one who can dictate how federal dollars can be spent, and on other days she states that the RISE Act is a public law set by the Guam legislature, and she has no say over it. Now she claims she is still waiting for federal guidelines on how to spend the monies from the American Rescue Plan. Pretty odd that this Democrat governor is waiting for clearance from the administration of a Democrat president, while the Republican governor in the CNMI has already issued a plan on when his residents will receive their local stimulus program using the same federal relief program's dollars. A tribal government has also announced since May of this year that members of their tribe will also be attaining stimulus checks courtesy of the ARP. Sounds as if the governor is just making another excuse, or maybe she just does not want to pay the proceeds of the program. Or is it because she has no real plan in place? The administration used federal monies to purchase 4 vehicles, which along with $40,000 cash, also part of the federal funds, were used as prizes for their vaccination drive raffle program. This is also the same administration which is using federal funds to issue tourists $500 debit cards. Wait, didn't she say that she was waiting for federal spending guidelines? Yet they hesitate to support island residents by paying out the RISE Act benefits. Prior to her trip to the mainland, Governor Leon Guerrero stated that addressing the RISE Act was not an emergency issue. I guess while she and members of her administration danced away in D.C. on the taxpayers' dime, cue the video, referring to a video which has been circulating of the governor and the former congressman dancing and celebrating at some party in the nation's capital a few days ago, she fails to understand what so many families are enduring at this time, which includes the realities that for some residents not being able to pay their bills or place food on their dinner tables are an emergency. Governor, you need to relate to what struggling families face every day. Therefore, we simply ask that you pay the benefits of the RISE Act immediately. And that is the press release from the Republican Party of Guam.
And as you can see, there's this video that the Republicans were referring to here. I think they put it up on the governor's Facebook, but it was eventually taken down. I'm not sure if it was because of the music, it's the Cupid Shuffle. Okay, so I don't know if it was like a copyright thing, or maybe they just realized that maybe it wasn't a good read of the room. And they weren't wearing their masks either, which is pretty crazy given all that Delta variant stuff out there. I mean, is it a crime to dance? No. Is it a little tone deaf with all this RISE Act stuff that's going on? Probably, yeah, but I could just see the governor's people saying, it makes her relatable. Yeah, put that up there. So that's that. But the Democratic Party of Guam did come out with a release. Boy, did they ever come out with a release. And as I said, that Republican one was pretty pointed, but the Democrats, through Executive Director Chirag Bhojwani, released this. This was a burner. Please find the following statement from the Democratic Party of Guam's Executive Director, Mr. Chirag Bhojwani. The definition of irony is that the Republican Party of Guam has repeatedly and historically opposed unemployment insurance on Guam, but now is shocked that we have no local safety net for the poor and struggling. Only one Republican senator has had the foresight to join Democrats and co-sponsor the RISE Act upon its introduction. Others sat quietly until the bill received overwhelming popular support. Now, the same Republicans who simply showed up to dinner are pretending they spent all day preparing the meal, and that's more than lazy. It just isn't so. The All Rise program is being implemented, and our people will be paid, and we will do it without risking millions of dollars in repayment. Federal entities called out the illegal financial practices of the prior Republican administration, and we won't go back to their way of doing business. Republicans want to spend federal money before the federal guidelines are in place. It's irresponsible to spend federal money before the final guidelines are in place, and Republicans know it. We won't jeopardize livelihoods, public safety, and other critical government services just so we can make headlines. The Democratic legislature, led by Senator Regine Bisco-Lee and Speaker Tina Munoz-Barnes and 6 other Democrats, created the RISE Act. Jim Moylan didn't introduce the RISE Act. Democrats did. Jim Moylan didn't even co-sponsor it. Democrats did. Jim Moylan didn't vote in support of the RISE Act in the legislative committee, and now he wants to be its savior. The GOP is so busy stealing credit for Senator Regine Bisco-Lee's idea, she's probably the victim of identity theft. While the GOP continues to put out press releases to make headlines, Democrats continue to advance the needs of our people. See below for a list of direct relief aid to individuals and families to date in accordance with federal guidelines. And then there's a whole list of the $2.2 million Guam Emergency Rental and Mortgage Relief Assistance, which they couldn't give out because no one qualified. $1.2 million in COVID Bereavement Assistance Fund, $16 million Programa Salapia Duri Tautau Para Empanada, $757.1 Pandemic Unemployment Assistance. How do you take credit for that? $150 million in EIP 1, EIP 2, EIP 3, $30.4 million SNAPs. These are all federal things. 440,000 food commodities distributed by Temporary Food Assistance Program. Yeah. Anyway, so you get the point. Well, it's pretty snarky right there. And it was so different from what we hear from the Democratic Party chair, Sarah Thomas Nutty Dog, who had said that she wanted to kind of work together with the Democrats. Well, that was fun. Nice try. Let's bring on Minority Leader Senator Chris Duenas for a reacts to this release. You know, full disclosure, we asked Chirag to come on, but, well, he's not coming on, doesn't look like. Which, you know, I don't know. He's just brave in the press release, apparently. Senator Duenas, good morning.
Day, good morning, Chris and Bree and Jason. Wow, where do we start, huh? You know, first of all, I want to congratulate the people of Guam. They are the ones who did the hard work. They are the ones who took the vaccination that President Trump, under Operation Warp Speed, made sure it would be available to our people. And we've achieved this 80%. So congratulations. Don't let any governor, any senator, any mayor, anyone take credit for what you did. Congratulations to the people of Guam. You know, I'm surprised that the Democratic Party of Guam allowed Chirag to put his fingers to the keyboard and put out that release. I'm not sure what party he's talking about, because last time I checked, it's Congressman Mike San Nicolas who has chided this administration and basically told them that they have not been transparent with the ARP funding and the funding plan going forward. He actually fully supports what the legislature is doing. The last I checked, the bill that we heard yesterday was introduced by none other than Speaker Therese Terlahi, a very prominent and good speaker who I love working with, but she's very Democrat to the core. It was co-sponsored by the finance chair, Joe San Augustine, and the good Senator Jim Moylan. Yes, that Jim Moylan. And so as we go through this, I just really am so surprised because, you know, Chirag is a pretty sharp guy, and I know he knows his civics. The fact of the matter is we don't have a RISE Act bill anymore, or law anymore. We have All Rise for Lulian Guerrero, our governor. That's what we have. When the chief executive of the island, under her full control of $600+ million, puts pen to paper on an executive order, the law no longer exists. The only reason why the legislature, led by Republicans and Democrats, are trying to fix the mess the governor has gotten us in is because she continues to complain that it is the law that prohibits her from raising the cap above $30 million. And it is the law that has created this onerous application process. Now, thank God the acting governor, Lieutenant Governor Tenorio, at least stopped having our people go out there and stand in the hot sun for 6 and 7 hours sometimes to get a mayor's verification. Thank you, acting governor, in order to be able to help facilitate this process. But let's be clear, the governor's office has full and complete control of this process. We don't even need to pass these bills. The reason why we're doing it is because we want to make sure the governor understands that there is no public law currently that exists that restricts her authority, simply put.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know where else to go with this, Senator, because, I mean, it is what it is.
And what I find interesting as well is, Sherrod talks about, the fact that the Republicans have never been on board with a issue of making sure that we have unemployment insurance. We are in our third year right now of full Democrat control. Our Democrat congressman, our Democrat governor, our Democrat majority in the legislature. Not one bill has been introduced. Not one bill has been introduced. None of us have been asked to co-sponsor a Democrat bill to stand up a program for unemployment insurance. The last I remember was the governor during her speech in March was the one who said she was going to go to Washington, D.C. and line dance with her friends and make sure that she asked to get federal dollars to make sure that we can, stand up a program for unemployment insurance. That has not come to fruition as far as I know. And so to put that on the Republicans, I think is disingenuous as well.
Yeah, I mean, this release was just all kinds of messy.
But look, we want to work with the governor. We at the legislature, I think, have tried everything that we can to be transparent, to put our plan on the table, to move things forward, to remove any impediments that might exist to try to get these funds in the hands of our people. I'm actually sick and tired of talking about it because the truth is we should just pay the people and get on with the business, right? I mean, you had Kevin Bautista, the communications director in Sinamay. It was very clear that, it's not difficult whatsoever for them to put out their stimulus plan, to spend the money that they, need to spend to try to help their people. This whole thing about guidelines and the like, I mean, it's just smoke and mirrors. There's no question that during the other funding that came in under the CARES Act, it was very clear. If you're going to use funds to help your people, if you're going to use funds to make sure that your people have what they need to be able to try to continue to survive during this pandemic, that is an authorized expenditure. And so I think it's already, the people of Guam, I'm sure, are absolutely sick and tired of hearing those excuses. And I hope we just move forward. I honestly don't even want to have to pass these bills next week. But if we have to, we have to continue to let the governor know that the legislature has not put any stumbling blocks in front of her to be able to just do what she needs to do.
Yeah, we're talking about, Sabrina and I were talking about this during the break yesterday, but and I said these bills, the governor's gonna say, oh, well, now they're gonna mess up the whole process. I don't know. But, they're just following the governor's lead. The governor said, oh, $30 million is the cap. I have to follow the law. Can't change it. So they introduced a bill to adjust that. And then,
You know what's
she says
she can
that
do what she wants.
she can
though.
do what
I
she
mean,
she
it's
change it with an executive
don't
order.
know.
So I don't understand. I mean, you guys go and pass a law. She could just go and change with the executive. It's confusing.
And you don't even have to have an executive order because the acting governor just said, "Hey, remove that."
No more
mayor."
mayor's
Yeah,
verification. Yeah, so,
and that wasn't.
Yeah,
in
we're
it.
done with that. Don't bother with the mayor. You know what's interesting is, the good Senator Jim Moylan, myself, and Tony Yada, we introduced 6 bills, the Get Guam Moving initiatives, and this was on the eve of the $600 million coming in, and we were anticipating that, right? Well, I guess a couple of days ago we got to hear Bill 75, which tries to raise the RISE Act to 1,000 per individual and 2,000 per joint filers. But there's another program that the governor saw fit that we introduced in the bill form to see through that, she understood that the Republicans were really on it and Senator Moylan was on it. And that is this subsidized employment. The difference is the governor only puts out subsidized employment through Department of Labor for 3 months. Our bill goes for a whole year. We want to see if we can get folks back into the workforce, but we want to help businesses as well by subsidizing an employee or employees in companies for an entire year. And hopefully those companies will retain those employees going forward. Help the businesses, help the people, get the money out there in the community. The governor thought that was such a great idea, she actually implemented at Department of Labor now through subsidized employment. There's 4 other bills, we'll ask Joe San Agustin to please have public hearings for, or maybe the governor would just see that those programs are so wise, she'll just continue to implement them. But these are things that, Senator Moylan and several Republicans have introduced and, work with us. We got bills in place to get this economy going. We've got bills to get our island moving. Just work with us.
Mm-hmm. I just had one quick question because September is coming up in about a month or so, right? So is there any discussions about the minimum wage? Because I think it's supposed to go into effect, right, in September.
Yeah.
That will go into effect,
Okay.
Bree, and I think it's the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
When the businesses came to us early on, especially because of the pandemic, they have been asking us, can we please reduce the BPT back to 4%?
Mm-hmm.
Many businesses said to me, if you just give us the 4%, we a long time ago, we could have, we can absorb this, this issue with regard to the minimum wage. It's the 5% that's really killing a lot of businesses. And so now we have all of these representations from the administration that we're tracking, we're actually tracking a surplus now, once again, and the like, but yet we do nothing to reduce the BPT. We've got this $65 million now in EITC, which the BPT really represented about $60 million in terms of the 1%, right? We've got this, child tax credit coming now that is going to really help our people and help our government. We have relief when it comes to Medicaid matching. We've got so much relief coming to the government, but yes, there's a possibility of the fiscal cliff in September. But I believe that the raising of the minimum wage is the right thing. I just hope we can do some more things to help our businesses so they can continue to absorb this and take care of our people.
Senator, do you expect the 2 RISE bills to be on the agenda Monday, and do you think they'll be passed?
I certainly do. They're not complicated bills. I mean, they're really just carryover. It's interesting hearing your clip the other day with the good Senator Lee saying, check our privilege, right? I mean, this thing really is just to facilitate this process. It's unfortunate we have to do it. I wish the governor would just come out and say, okay, guys, I've heard you. All the amendments that you proposed in these bills, I'll just go ahead and amend my executive order and just handle it at that level. But if we don't get that kind of communication, Chris and Bree and Jason, I could tell you that those bills will be put on the agenda and they will pass.
Well, Senator, we got to run, but thank you.
Thanks, Senator.
Hey, Sadus Masi, and to the people of Guam, have a great weekend. The sun is shining right now. It might be a little rainy this weekend, but be safe and thanks a lot. God bless, guys.
Okay.
Take
right
care.
on. I did a whole thing at the end of the show, and this latest Democratic Party release. To me, you have the Democratic Party through Executive Director Shirag Bourjwani doing Adeloop's job. Adeloop should be communicating these points because we don't hear anything from them on these very contentious issues. At 7:20, we're going to go ahead and play this clip here as we're getting ready to jump into this Marble Cave conversation with the Micronesia Climate Change Association and also Farron Tyron, who's quickly becoming a citizen journalist. Jay, which one is it here?
It's Farron B-roll.
Farron B-roll. Okay, and we'll go ahead and get Farron on. Farron, you there? Good morning.